There is more good news. It's also kind of bad news, but we got some good news and some bad news. I got this story here from Timcast.com. San Francisco crime leads to reduced target hours. Now, not the biggest story in the world, but this is actually important.
Right.
Because of the massive wave of shoplifting,
Yeah.
Target and Walgreens have announced they're going to be closing around 6 p.m. Could you imagine that?
Before dark.
Before you
Way
get out of
before
work?
dark. Yeah.
Wow. Or,
yeah.
you know, so you get out of work maybe at 5. You're going to make it to Target in time to get your groceries? Probably not. But this is part of the death spiral. The quality of life is
Right.
dropping so rapidly in San Francisco. So let me talk about what this means in terms of good news and bad news. Well, basically, what you have in San Francisco is praxis. What they love to tweet about, they love tweeting this. These leftists, these communists, these Marxists, they will show a video of Antifa beating some old person, and they'll put like a picture of a guy, the meme of the guy rubbing his face saying praxis. Like they love watching Antifa just brutally beat white people or something like that. Well, this is what it really looks like. San Francisco crumbles. 40% of San Francisco residents plan to leave due to quality of life, according to a poll. So here's the good news. The good news is these things don't work, and we still have a system in place where people can flee these things and their failures, and that will strip a lot of the power away. It was perhaps easy in some of these places in Europe and in Germany because they were smaller, or there weren't very many places to go. I mean, look, Russia and the Soviet Union were very big, but the United States is very diverse in terms of ideology, and there's always a place to rush to because it's not sweeping from the top down necessarily, it's from the bottom up. So as San Francisco implements these failing policies, people just leave.
Yeah.
Now, the bad news, the cities are failing, which is awful.
Right.
There's crime, there's homelessness. And then these people who vote in those politicians move to Texas, where there's a thread from this woman that it's actually really great. It's Michelle Tandler says, conservative Twitter is all over this. I highly recommend reading the quote tweets for a deeper understanding of how many in America view SF, the left, etc. This individual actually points out as a Democrat that the cities are very much in trouble, saying, nobody is saying we are X% up in this category. It's how they feel walking the streets. It's walking a stroller next to a tent that has a pile of bikes next to it. It's being screamed at or chased by someone who seems mentally unstable. What I'm seeing is that there is a big enough incident, it shakes people up, if there is. It could be seeing a robber try to climb through your child's bedroom, being pulled off your bike, having someone chase you with a pipe. These incidents shake people up and their friends too. Ultimately, I think the biggest responsibility of government is to protect people from one another. It is in place to protect us from assault, theft, robbery, etc. Right now, the criminal justice system in SF is not working. It is allowing people to get high on very powerful drugs and terrorize one another, neighbors, stores. It is allowing rampant theft, burglary, car break-ins. It is allowing mentally unstable felons to stab elderly women. What do people say in response to these threats? Where are you moving to? I'm moving to Texas.
Right.
No,
Right.
don't. They're gonna vote more of the same and
change Texas potentially, right?
Yeah.
But people are moving with their feet, right? They're making decisions with their feet, and I think at the ballot box, like I am confident that this issue is going to impact gubernatorial race in Virginia, any races we have this year, and then the midterm election.
I should read some more of this. She says, my whole life, I've considered myself a proud, liberal, progressive San Francisco Democrat.
Yeah.
Today, I am ashamed of my city. I see smug ignorance of the laws and of unintended consequences, moral grandstanding, winning over data, logic, and facts, radical candidates winning elections unopposed, social justice warriors getting into government and wreaking havoc on neighborhoods, businesses, and children. Why have we been asleep at the wheel? Where is our sense of civic duty, civic pride? Is this who we want to be? Perhaps what these children are learning will be the shock to the system of the moms. Maybe seeing SF become a poop proliferator wasn't enough. Maybe, I don't live in San Fran. I don't care what they do. Then one day their kid comes home with this book and says, Mom, why did you lie to me, you racist?
Right. Why did you lie to me about who I am and what I am, and I can't trust you? And it's not just typical parent-child debates or disputes. I mean, this is like essential to like the deceit. That's what they're basically teaching is parents have been deceitful.
I mentioned this several times in the past week or so, but it is extremely relevant to this that I went to a skate park and there was graffiti, Black Lives Matter, which was fascinating to me because the graffiti I used to see growing up was very anti-establishment, F the system, things like that.
Well, what's so comical is all you have to do, being an investigative reporter, I love to look at this thing called 990s, which are the IRS filings of 501c3 organizations. You look up Black Lives Matter movement, and they have millions of dollars in their coffers. They've got, as we know, their founders have multi-million dollar, homes and mansions that they're spending on. Follow the money. Like, that's what I've had so much thrill doing, being a Nancy Drew in all these school districts, following the money, because when you actually look at how they're spending their money and how they're getting wealthy off of it, they're just corporations too.
Yeah.
They are.
These books, I would imagine, you said that state funds are paying for these books,
Yes.
and so these authors are getting paid out.
Oh, absolutely. Yeah. Jason Reynolds just got $8,000 for 45 minutes in Arlington, Virginia on a Zoom call.
Wow.
$8,000 for
Yeah.
a Zoom call. Wow.
Yeah. But almost $200 a minute.
Holy cow.
That's the grift.
That's
I love it. I love
Yeah.
when these leftists are like, so this is really funny. I got denied a home loan. I talked about it before.
I heard.
And so finally I tweeted, it was Navy Federal.
Right.
They sent me a letter in the mail with false credit information, which I'm very angry by. And of course, as it goes in today's modern era, they will ignore you. They will not, so I tweet about it knowing this is how you get their attention.
Right.
Of course, they responded immediately. And a bunch of people mentioned how they wouldn't respond to them because they don't have millions of followers or whatever. But one person said, Tim Pool is grifting. He's just trying to get people angry at Navy Federal to make money or something. And I'm like, what? Who's got beef with Navy Federal? Like, what are you talking about?
Right.
But here's the point I'm trying to make. Not to rehash the old story. These leftists are using grift as a preemptive shield to accuse their opponent that of which they do, in an effort to say, oh, he's only calling me a grifter because I called him out for it. Now he's trying to deflect.
Right.
No, the reality is, if I wanted to make money, why wouldn't I shill for Amazon.com
Yeah.
and
Yeah.
Walmart.com
Yeah.
and the massive NGOs? Why put myself on in the out group, in the resistance fighting against the machine?
Right.
The machine is safe. The machine promises you treasure in exchange for your obedience.
Yeah, so, Twitter, Jack Dorsey gave Ibram Kendi, he didn't have enough money already making $20,000 an hour, so he got $10 million for his anti-racism center. I mean, that's a lot of money, right? That could go into building schools, into developing programs. And sure enough, it didn't matter though. He gets his $10 million one month, and the next month he collected $20,000 for an hour.
Is this Jason Reynolds guy? You said he got paid $8,000
Yeah.
for a Zoom call. Was that state funds that he got paid?
That was Arlington County public school
Wow.
money right across the border here.
Your tax dollars at work, your property taxes at
Yeah,
work.
Yeah. And then the kids got his book. They got the 45 minutes with him, and who paid for it though? You know
Apparently
who
I
gave
did
them
it.
the money? Amazon gave them money.
Wow.
So we got a tip because all of a sudden these kids were getting these books, and this mom's like, where did they get these books? So in this case, we discovered that Amazon's public affairs guy called the diversity, equity, inclusion guy at Arlington Public Schools, suburb of DC, and said, we can get you hotspots. We can get you Wi-Fi. And the guy said, no, we want this book. We want 45 minutes on Zoom with this guy.
Wow.
So they picked Kendi instead of Kindles.
Just a minor correction. It's diversity, inclusivity,
I
and
know,
equity.
exactly.
Yes.
Die.
Right.
I love it. I love it. And
They
gotta
chose those
rebrand it.
words.
Yeah, we got to rebrand it.
That's the game they play. Don't
It's-
fight on their territory.
Yeah.
Called the die cult.
I love it. It is the die cult, and these guys are killing
I want to call
America.
it critical race praxis, but then we'll just call it CRP, but we can just call it
Could be an A in there.
CRA.
Yeah, there you go.
We'll just call it crap.
Critical
Yeah,
race
right.
applied praxis.
Yeah. Perfect,
Yeah, well,
right.
race is RA, so the A can just be in
Yeah,
there.
yeah.
Oh yeah, yeah. I
Crap.
mean, basically, we got to use their words against them, and I completely.
It's so important that we focus on that it's the praxis and not the theory that's being taught.
Yeah,
They're not teaching about the theory. They're indoctrinating and making people behave with that theory as they study all sorts of
Yeah.
stuff.
so this is the theory, right? Right here. This is the Bible. This is their. Yeah, you love this. This is.
Oh, yeah.
all
I
of
love to back up Chris Rufo because who was right on Joanne Reed's show.
Kimberly Crenshaw is in
Yes.
there, and then who are you going to read from now?
I'm going to read Crenshaw.
Yep. So she's the mother of intersectionalism, the one who decides that Zionist feminists are not feminist enough.
Amazing.
So I wonder if there's a little bit more context I could read, but I'll just read one very simple portion. It says, principally organized by Kimberly Crenshaw, Neil Gatanda, and Stephanie Phillips, the workshop drew together 35 law scholars who responded to a call to synthesize a theory that, while grounded in critical theory, was responsive to the realities of racial politics in America. Indeed, the organizers coined the term critical race theory to make it clear that our work locates itself in the intersection of critical theory and race, racism, and the law. What does that mean? Critical theory is essentially a Marxist philosophy, oppressor and oppressed. And what the critical race theorists were basically saying was they didn't think Marx understood the realities of racism in America. That it was easy in this small insular country and homogenous country to say it's class, it's the wealthy and the poor, it's the worker and the bourgeoisie, it's the proletariat. In the United States, race plays this role. So they decided to take that framework and apply race to it. So it is very much rooted in Marxist critical theory, ideology, etc. There's a bunch of other components to this as well. The Frankfurt School, it goes on. But when Joanne Reed says to Christopher Rufo, it's not Marxist, it's not true, she's lying. Ibram Kendi said critical race theory is a huge component of his work and anti-racism and what it means. Yeah. They're trying to hide from you what's really going on.
Yeah, and so this book is published 1995, okay? Yeah. Long before any of this trickles down into our K through 12 schools. And she had the workshop that Tim just read about was in the 1980s at Harvard Law School with Derek Bell.
Oh, in fact, in fact, I could be wrong. I believe the Ford I read was from Cornell West.
Oh, okay. All right, great. So Faces at the Bottom of the Well it's written by Derek Bell, the godfather of critical race theory at Harvard.
Actually, can you hear me?
Yeah, you want to check it?
I want to double check.
So this, this argument that they've been putting forward that critical race theory is not taught in schools, one, it's being debunked now.
It is Kimberly Crenshaw.
Okay, great, good. It's good to check the facts.
Kimberly wrote, that's the intro.
Yeah. But so it has been a long journey, and it has been a long journey since the 1970s when it was first formed, and then that workshop that you read, they were the architects of it in 1980s. The book gets published in the 1990s. And now, wow, what do we have? Notebooks and stamped workshops for kids. It's diabolical and it's genius because it's so insidious, but ultimately it's evil. I mean, it really is evil.
Thanks for checking out this clip from the Timcast IRL podcast. If you want to see the full show, come back to this channel, youtube.com/TimcastIRL, Monday through Friday at 8 p.m., where you can leave comments and super chat, and we actually will read your comments on the show. Don't forget to like, share, subscribe, and if you want exclusive members-only content, segments you can't get anywhere else, go to timcast.com, become a member, and we even have full bonus episodes. Thanks for hanging out, and we'll see you all next time.